Whenever I share that I do not drink alcohol at all, usually the first question is, no alcohol at all? Are you sure? That's usually the first question. The second question always is, how did you do it? And how have you stayed sober for the number of years that you have? I'm about 4.5 years sober, as you guys already know. And my answer to that is that having a strong foundation, or what I call an anchor, is a big part and probably the secret to success in the journey of sobriety. Hi, and welcome back, everybody, to your favorite channel. At least I think it is by now, right? The Wandering Wanderer. If it's your first time joining us, welcome and thank you for spending time with us as we explore alcoholism and sobriety. I'm your host, Wendy, and today I want us to explore what I think is one of the most important tenets of sobriety, and that is a strong foundation that will increase your chances of success in sobriety, and that is your why. I am learning every day that knowing your why of why you're pursuing sobriety is what will hold you strong when temptation arises. It is what you can hold on to. It is what will ground you when you want to give up. It takes years to become addicted or to become an alcoholic. And the hard truth is, sobriety will likewise take time, and that is why we continue to say it is a journey and not an event. It's not something you get to and you're like, oh, now I'm sober for forever. No, it's a day by day process, and it takes years to get to the point of that. So let's dig in. The why of your journey has to be deeply personal to you, and that is why it is vital that the person choose sobriety for themselves. I say this because over and over I see family members and people with loved ones who get so frustrated and they give ultimatums to alcoholics and addicts. And it's all from a good place. But until the alcoholic decides for themselves that they want to get sober and know the reason why they want to get sober, it is going to be an uphill battle. You can send them to rehab as many times as you want. You can pay for their rehab as many times as you want. But until they get to that realization by themselves and make that final decision, it is an effort in futility. You can give them ultimatums and tell them how you're going to disinherit them or divorce them in the case of a spouse or limit the access to the children and all of that. But when those things fail or when life happens and they do not have a reason for themselves why they chose to be sober, the lure of alcohol is going to draw them right back in because their anchor has to be their own. It is only a matter of time before they're pulled right back in, and it just becomes too hard for them to keep resisting because, again, sobriety is sometimes it's a battle that you fight every day to stay sober. And so there are times, I won't lie to you, there are times when my mind is going a mile a minute and I think to myself, I'm like, I would love a cold beer right now. I would absolutely love a nice smooth whiskey right now. But I also know why I can't do it. I have my whys, I have my anchors, and those are the things that every time those thoughts come into my head, I'm like, hold on. Do I really want to go back to this? Do I really want to give up everything that I've fought for this long to go back to where I came from? When the why is based on external reasons, like quitting for somebody else or a specific event, it's simply not sustainable. Because when those people let you down, which they will, they're human, kind of the human experience. Or when those situations change, there'll be no reason for them to stay sober. I'll give you an example. When somebody says, my wife has asked me to get sober or else she's going to divorce me, maybe the person will get sober, maybe even stay sober for 5 years. If for another reason that marriage fails, guess what happens? 8 out of 10 is that they're going to go right back to alcohol because the anchor was that wife. They were doing all of this for the wife. And so the wife is gone. And so the What's the point? What's the reason for me to stay sober if she still left, even though I left alcohol for her? And this is why I think finding out your why is one of the biggest ways you can set yourself up for success. And that's just an example, right? And not everybody falls into that bracket, but at the same time, having doing it for somebody else, when that person falls short in your eyes, you're not going to have a reason to stay sober. Defining that why for yourself takes time, and sometimes it takes brutal honesty and responsibility over your life to realize what it takes for you to know why you need to stop drinking alcohol. You know, I have these conversations with so many people, and I remember asking somebody once, why now? They told me they think they have a problem and they want to quit. And I asked them, why now? What happened or what's going on right now that you think you need to quit? And they gave me a list of reasons. And a lot of them, for so many of us, your first reasons of your why are very surface level. A lot of this are surface level reasons. You need to dig deep and find out why your why matters now more than ever. And you still have to refine it and re-refine it over time. Every time I get tempted to drink, and I say this all the time, it still happens. I know people who've been sober 10, 15, 20 years who still get tempted to drink. It's not a feeling that goes away. At least I've not met anyone who tells me after 25 years they're never tempted to drink. It's never a feeling that goes away. And for me, figuring out my whys are the reasons I is one of the biggest reasons I've been able to stay sober. I call them my anchors. They are just like a ship. They are what hold me steady. They are what holds me to the seabed of life, so to speak, and kind of grounds me whenever I'm in that place where my mind wants to drive me instead of me driving it. My anchors are deeply personal to me, and I'll share them with you, but they do not hinge on anybody's mood, temperament, or situation. And so I have 4 anchors. I share them with you not because I want you to have the same anchors, but I want you to have examples of what an anchor could be and why they are so important. So my first anchor is faith. That day when I was on my bathroom floor, making the decision to not drink for 365 days, I knew I couldn't do this by myself. And so I like to believe I am a woman of faith who has had my ups and downs in my relationship with God. But one thing is, He's never failed me. And so I talked to Him and I said, God, I cannot do this by myself. I cannot do this sobriety thing by myself. I need you to help me. I can't do it alone. I know how hard this is going to be. So help me. It was a very short prayer, but I can attest and I can testify, church, I can testify to you today that He came through for me and continues to be one of my biggest anchors. I would not be on this journey if I did not have God in my life. I truly would not be able to hack at this by sheer willpower. It's just not enough. My second anchor is my health. Y'all, when I was talking about my story and I was telling you how bad my stomach was and how I couldn't go up the stairs without feeling completely out of breath. I had gained weight. I wish I could show you pictures of where I was then and now. I had cheeks, y'all. I was big. Not big in, my 600-pound life kind of big, but just I was bigger than I'd ever been. And I had just gotten to a point where my health was failing tremendously. I was constantly having stomach issues. My skin was a mess. I was just health-wise, I was doing badly. Getting sober has almost given me a new lease of life. I got my first clean bill of health 2 years into sobriety. I had never had that in my entire adult life. And I got it when I got sober. And so I don't take it for granted how much your health can benefit from sobriety. And the reason, so every time I think about drinking, I ask myself, do I want to go back to that place where my stomach felt like it had molten lava in it? Is that really worth it? Is that temporary pleasure of that alcohol really worth it? For me, no, it's not. My third anchor is my finances. It's very, very weird how you don't realize how much you spend on alcohol until you're not spending on alcohol. And we'll touch on that when we talk about benefits of sobriety. And the fourth part is mental clarity. And I won't lie, that's a mixed bag because now I have to make decisions that I need to wake up to and be comfortable with. When you're drinking and you make reckless decisions, you can wake up and say, I blame it on the alcohol. I don't remember. I was drunk. Then you get sober. And then you don't have any more of those excuses. And so you really have to think about the decisions you make. You really need to think and be responsible for what you say and what you do and for keeping your word. And it's not always that easy. But I think one of the things when I got sober, I had to look back on and see the decisions I made. And some of the times I just wanted to kick myself. I was like, what was I high on? Well, I know what I was high on, but did I really do? Did I really decide that? Like, what, you know? And so now when I think about going back to that fog that is alcoholism, I don't want to. I don't want to go to a place where I'm not making fully informed decisions. I can't control everything. I'm okay with that. But now I need to make and be responsible for my decisions. I can't blame it on the alcohol anymore. And so those are my anchors. They don't have to be yours, but you can find what matters to you. Your why could be any or all of the ones that I've given you, or it could be anything else that matters to you. These things or these anchors will hold you during challenging times. Once you have identified your why, take time to write them down. Revisit, reflect, and if you're like me, put them on sticky notes and stick them around wherever you are so that they're constantly in your sight, especially in the first year of sobriety. That way, they are always top of mind and they will become almost reflexive to you when these temptations arise. I cannot overstate the reason why your personal why can mean success or failure in this process. I want to find out, what about you? What are your whys? Not just why you're choosing sobriety, but maybe why you want to quit. Why do you think now is a good time for you to quit? Or why do you think it's not a good time for you to quit? Ask yourself the why. And I think the why is not just in sobriety, but in a lot of our journey in life. Why do you want to do something? What is your motivation? And I think once you identify your why and it becomes crystal clear in your mind why you want to do it, then that holds you steady because then peer pressure doesn't sway you. Life happening doesn't sway you because you know what your bigger picture is. So, what are some of the motivations that anchor you? Maybe not just in sobriety, but in life. What are your whys? Why do you do the things you do? And what drives you and what keeps you grounded? I'm going to wrap up today's episode on that note. I would love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I want to thank you for your time. And I hope you learned something new today. If you want to keep wondering and wondering with us, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. It would mean the world to me. If you have any questions, musings, stories you want to share, please do not hesitate and reach out to me. Also, if you have any thoughts, any questions, please drop us a line. Let us know what you're thinking. I think it's important when we're talking about addiction that we are very honest about the processes and what we go through when we share our stories. That's why I don't hold back. And there's things sometimes I share and then I blush a little bit and I'm like, oh, do I really want to say that out loud? But I think it's important to understand that this journey is not all roses and gold and easy. it's not. But it is possible, and it is very, very, very worth it, because you are worth it. I will see you next Saturday as we explore the benefits of sobriety. And I promise some of these benefits will actually surprise you. Until then, have a wonderful week. Stay strong, stay blessed. And remember, one step at a time, we can do this together. Bye.